Morning, guys and gals. Froggy here. This is the back of my clothes washer. It is a Frigidaire Affinity model ATF 7000 ES0, I think. Sorry for the handwriting. It was built in 2003 and now it's 19, so it's 16 years old. Ay, ay, ay. Still running. Well, no. It made a really loud noise yesterday, so I shut it off. It was full of clothing. It was on the last spin, drain, spin cycle, like that. And so I thought something bad was wrong with it because of all the noise it was making. So I started taking it apart. The back comes off with 4 screws. They're those special square Torx. It's like a Torx, only it's a square. Some kind of stupid security screw, I guess, so because they don't want you to take the back off. Anyway, I took it off. I'm looking all over at everything. I was spinning the drum. My hand, it felt smooth to me. This is the drain pump right there. You can see there. You can see the hose coming out of it right there in the middle of your screen. That's a drain pump. I took that off. There's a little clip on it, and it drained water. So what that meant was it was not clogged up with anything. It was draining okay. So the drain then goes up the side here and comes out there. That's the drain. So I went online. I went to a couple of forums. I put some information in there about the make, model, and so on, and the symptoms. The symptoms were the drum was full of clothes and water and would not drain and would not spin. It was just sitting there making a loud noise. So here it is the next day. I'm working on it again. This is top priority, obviously, because you got to have a washer and dryer, right? And I went online a little bit more, looking at a few more things. I thought it was something called a motor coupler. A motor coupler is a connection between a motor and a transmission on some washers. The problem is I do not find any motor coupler on this washer. I do not think it has one, actually. So I'm like, everything looks okay. Let's plug it in. So I plugged it in. And I don't have the water hooked up yet. But I want to show you, this is my troubleshooting, my brain troubleshooting the thing. So I put it on spin only. I figured because we don't have any water connected, we'll try spin only. So this doesn't matter. Spin speed, I put on medium. Options don't matter. Soil level doesn't matter. Start. The door is closed. There's supposed to be a pause. That's normal. While the electronics think about what it's going to do. There we go. It starts spinning. Now, to me, that's not very fast, but I don't know. Maybe that is fast for this machine. So come around the back. The spin thing is an intermittent thing. There it goes again. Everything seems nice and quiet and smooth, right? Right. Let's try it on high speed. So we're back here. Pause it. Spin speed. Maximum. Let's try maximum. All right. Computer module's thinking. Here we go. Now, to me, it looks like the same speed, but maybe it takes a little while before it gets going. I am not sure. Or maybe it also has to do with what kind of a load is in it. It stopped and it started. Now, to me, that looks like programming. It looks like it's doing what it's supposed to be doing. However, I do not know why it's not going any faster than that. Maybe that's an issue. I don't know. Maybe there has to be some water in the system somewhere for it to spin fast. Or maybe this is what happens when it's empty of water. Because right now it is empty of water. So maybe there's a sensor or something that's telling the brain that stop spinning so fast, it's empty of water. You know what I mean? So I'm going to try doing a load. I'm going to shove it back up against the wall so I can connect the water, hot and cold water, and I'm going to try a small load. I'll tell you where I'm going with this, and I'll tell you what I think might have happened, and I'm going to try and prove this out by running a load. What I think might have happened is my beautiful wife overloaded the machine. She just shoved it and shoved it and shoved it until there wasn't any more room in there for any more clothes. You're not really supposed to do that with a 16-year-old machine that's never been broken or anything. I think that what was happening was there was so much weight in the machine that the belt was skipping on the motor. I think the motor was turning and the belt was skipping and the whole thing started shaking and rocking and rolling and shaking. This thing has shock absorbers in it, has springs to spring loading the drum. Those all seem okay. So, let's put a load in. Alright, so I got hot and cold hooked up, turned on, right there. I would suggest, if this works, I'm going to replace the gaskets that are in here, but for right now I'm just testing. It's plugged in. I put 11 towels in there. Something you got to remember about towels, they're very lightweight when you put them in there. When they're soaked with water, they're not so lightweight. They get a lot heavier. So I would say that's a medium load. I'm going to call that a medium load, okay? 11 towels. All right, I'll put some, might as well put some soap and bleach and all that in there. If it works, I want to get the load done. This will take either a liquid or a powder, so I put a powder in there. And I add a little TSP, that's trisodium phosphate, because the feds made the laundry soap manufacturers take TSP out because they claimed it was killing the planet or something like that. Anyway, adding TSP back in just makes the soap work better. I'll put a little bleach in there too. I want to film the back of it a little bit now that we've got a fully wet load in there. So I want to show you how much moving around happens. I'm assuming that's a normal amount of moving around. See it? Now, if those shock absorbers broke, or if the springs broke, certainly you're going to have a problem with this kind of machine. So, apparently the motor reverses directions. That's pretty cool. I would say now we're at the point where the some of the soap has been dumped into the load, and because we're getting sudsy. It doesn't really tell you what part. It doesn't really tell you what part of the cycle it's on. Just what you have set up to. So it started at 48. It's been running 5 minutes. I'll be back. Alright, so we are about 15 minutes into a roughly 50-minute wash, rinse, etc. cycle. I think there is a little bit of small clunk noise. That's from the shock absorbers and the springs doing what they're supposed to do. I want to put a question out to you guys and gals, especially if anybody on the reading this or watching this video happens to be an appliance tech. Is there anything you would do on a 16-year-old washer to keep it running? I mean, the belt seems okay to me. Would you replace the shock absorbers? The springs are still springing, so the only thing I can think of myself would be the shock absorbers so it doesn't shift around too much. But unless it's overloaded, like I am thinking more and more it was overloaded, unless it's that, it just seems to be running okay. Let me know. Post it in the comments. Now we're getting somewhere, I think. And I think that's the drain pump making a pretty loud noise. It's hard to tell whether it's actually draining anything or not draining anything. I did open it up when I had everything detached and unplugged, and some water came out of it. But that might be what I need to do, is replace that drain pump. Please post up if you have knowledge and if you have a suggestion. You can't tell from the front side whether water is drained totally out of it or not. So I ordered this part off Amazon. It is the same part number as what I just pulled off there, 13405-1200. 13405-1200. So I expedited. It should be here tomorrow, and we'll put it in. All right. Well, I changed it out for this, and I'll tell you why. It really annoys the heck out of me when something says official or original OEM replacement part, and then I did a little bit further investigating, and this one says genuine replacement part. I think Electrolux is a company that probably bought Frigidaire or something like that. I believe this will fit, but more important than that, I mean, if it doesn't fit, that's not good, but I think it's going to fit. But this is going to be a genuine replacement part made to a better standard than the other one that I showed you. So it was a few bucks more, but you don't want to be taking your clothes washer apart every year or so to put a new pump in. So there's your update. What I'm doing now is I'm running a load of towels, about 10 towels, and I disconnected the drain pipe, the drain hose, and I'm draining it into a bucket. The reason I'm doing that is to just check the function. Oh, here we go. Check the function. I gotta go. Alright, I'm back. Sorry. What it's doing now is the drain pump is working a little bit because I don't have to press the column of water up almost 3 feet in the air to go to the drain over here. So the drain pump is working because it doesn't have to work as hard, basically. And I'm draining it into a bucket. And what I want to do is get as much water as I can out of these towels so I can throw them in the dryer. If you throw them in the dryer and they're soaking wet, they take like 6 hours to dry, so that's ridiculous. I think I've got this figured out, and I did order a part, and I will probably show you guys and gals how to put the part in if I can. Okay? Froggy out for now. That's spinning up really fast now. Getting a little bit more water out. So this is what I want. This is extremely dangerous, alright? Extremely dangerous to run it at these kinds of speeds or any speed. So this is for demonstration purposes only, alright? I'm not telling you guys and gals to do this. Okay, we finished the Mercedes. That was another video. Battery went dead on GLK 350, a 2015, so go and see that video if you need to. Back on the washer, this is the pump, the replacement pump I bought online. I'll put a link to it. Let's get the old pump out. I did, by the way, I ran a wash and used that bucket to catch the drain. The pump works when there's no load on it, but when there's a load, when the pipe goes up high, plastic pipe, it can't push up against it, so it's a worn out pump. I guess it's pretty common. It's the first one on this machine. So we're gonna get down there and pull that out and put the new one in. I'll give you what video I can. Okay, so you're gonna disconnect this wire. Just squeeze the little green thing, disconnect the wire. We got 2 screws. They look like they might be 8mm, 8 or 7, 8, 9, 10, something like that. One there, one on the other side. There, where are my fingers pointing? You got to pull the hose off of there, so you need to squeeze the clamp. Squeeze the clamp to get the hose off there. And then there's another big hose that connects down from the tub, and that has a green clamp on it too. Whoops! Sorry, dropped the camera. So you're gonna have to get to that one too. It's gonna be hard to get to, but you can do it. I'm thinking maybe I'll unscrew the pump first, and I'll be able to get at it better. We'll see. Yeah, so 8mm. I used a socket with a little extension on that side, and I used a little open end on that side. Take those off first, and then you can twist it around and you can get to that clamp. The clamp holds that piece that comes from the tub. Squeeze that, and then you've got your pump is out. Well, that's nice. My cheap-ass pliers just came apart when I was getting it out. Anyway, I got it out. Okay. Well, this is not exactly the same, the old one on the right, but I'm going to look at the specifications. And this is, of course, they're both 120. Looks like 1.2 amp, 50 watts. The new one is 1.4 amps, 85 watts, so it's got a little better motor, 45 liters per minute. That's the pump, and this is, where is it? It just says 10 minutes on, 5 minutes off. It doesn't say how many liters it'll move, I guess. Made in Italy. I think it's going to work. It seems to have enough capacity, and it looks like it'll drop right in. It'll bolt right in. Maybe after I'm done, I will look at this a little bit. Oh. What's that? Little piece of rusty metal in there? Yeah. Well, that would not be good. Trying to see if it'll spin. Well, anyway, let me put the camera down and examine a little closer. Well, I can see from close examination of the impeller that it was hitting up against the piece of metal, and I can see where it wore off a little edge right in the middle there. If you look at all those edges, it wore off an edge of that impeller, so it was working partially. Maybe it spins now. I can't really tell. At first I wondered if this was part of the motor, but that kind of be impossible because it's rusty and they wouldn't put a piece of metal anywhere in there that would rust. So this had to have come off, I don't know what, a piece of clothing? It wouldn't come off a piece of clothing, because what would this be on a piece of clothing? I don't know. This is a puzzle. Maybe just a piece of junk that got stuck to my work pants or something and then ended up getting thrown in the wash. Don't know. Anyway, that's as much as I'm going to spend on that right now. I'm going to get the new one in there. Because this is, yeah, I don't know. It might even run if I stuck it back in there, but I'm not going to. Well, I can see that new impeller has 3 vanes on it, and the old one had 4, so it's definitely not identical, but very likely it's going to work. So I'm going to mount the bracket on there, same as the old one. Stick it in. I like the look of these old screws better, and they're a couple of millimeters longer, so I'm going to use those over again. Now that thing with the holes in it and the green thing in the middle, that's like a coin catcher or filter to keep stuff out of the pump. The green, whatever that is inside there, is not supposed to be there. But I'm just going to try to clear what's stuck in there with a pair of needle nose, pull it out, and then shove that back up there. That just kind of sits up into the bellows area there. It doesn't really attach to anything. So I'm going to try and do that. Otherwise, I have to take this whole black piece off, which is another pain. So I'm going to try and just clear what I can out of it. That's what I ended up getting out of the trap just before things go into the water pump, the drain pump. So those things will kill the pump if they get to the pump. So that's why there's a trap there. But, I guess you got to clean the trap once in a while. I don't know. That's 13 years. Never touched the trap. Got cut up. So, put everything back the way it came apart. I did a little shortcut there because I'm just getting tired of this job. And let me show you a couple of things. I do like these. These are special pliers to get hose clamps on and off. I use those. I like those. And also I put some silicone on a lot of the hoses to make them slip on easier, and also I think it helps them seal a little bit because I'm reusing 13-year-old hoses, so cross your fingers. Yeah, one vent here that I took off from somewhere. I have to find out where that goes. Well, of course I had to take this off to get that. Had a little tiny hose clamp on it, and I couldn't do it blind. I was trying to do it blind, but with those long pliers, but it didn't work, so I just took it all off and attached it out here and then put it back up. All right, so we're ready to run this and check for leaks. Couple little clips there. So I'm going to leave the back off, of course, and dry it up first, and then turn on the water and power it up and throw some towels in there and try it.